little do-it-yourselfer in most of us. Whether you like to build things with a hammer or sew your own clothes, a part of us likes to believe that we can do it just as good, if not better than the pros. While that is a nice theory, certainly, it is not always true. Ohio's retirement coach Greg Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group is here with a few reality checks for us. So welcome, Greg.
Hey, it's good to be here. Happy Monday. And just think, this extra day that we get that we don't get every other year is kind of nice.
I know, and you got to do something useful with it, right?
Yes,
so
you do.
That's what we're going to give people some ideas. So how often is it that somebody comes into your office and they kind of had a do-it-yourself plan that you have to say, let's step back and see how this is working?
A lot, really a lot. Just because people are trying to do the best they know how. It's just that sometimes what we know to do and what is the right thing to do don't really line up.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that leads us to our first email question, which is from Norman in Columbus. He said, many people like annuities, but I've always thought that if an insurance company can take $100,000, guarantee an inflation-adjusted return, and turn a profit, then I should be able to do the same. So do they have access to investments that I don't?
Well, that's a great question. And the truth is, they don't have access to anything that the general public doesn't have access to. The problem is, they have something called the law of large numbers. In other words, they get to spread the risk around to hundreds of thousands of people and sometimes millions of people. And understand this, that insurance companies, not only are they banking on you not living as long, but they also have the flip side of things where they offer life insurance, where that if people live longer with life insurance, they get to offset that risk. So they're kind of hedging their bets both ways with life insurance companies and annuities, whereas if we're doing it all by ourselves, we only have the number of one, and if we get it wrong, then our entire nest egg can be gone.
Right, it's a lot more risk for us.
It really is.
Okay, Greg, next up, Glenda in Groveport says, I feel that I have a pretty good understanding of bonds, but I'm not sure I understand bond funds. How do they work? Are they something you recommend? I didn't even know they were different in this case.
Well, that's a great question. Now, people typically understand when they buy bonds that it's a really long-term investment.
Sure.
And they understand if they hold that bond all the way to maturity, even if things fluctuate in the economy and with interest rates and the value of their bond isn't worth much, at the end of that term, they're guaranteed to get back what they put in. Bond funds, not so. With bond funds, you don't have that maturity date on those because you're not buying individual bonds, and you really don't have much control over what you're in because it's some bond fund manager that's making those decisions every year or monthly or however often they realign your bond portfolio. Another thing that you have to consider are the fees that you pay someone to manage your bond fund. So we're not big fans of bond funds in our practice.
Okay, so that says a lot right there. It might not be the best option. Okay, finally we have Barry in Powell, who has a pretty common dilemma. He says, I'm 56. I've been with my stockbroker more than 20 years. Logic tells me it's time to move on to someone who specializes in helping me create retirement income. But I'm finding it tough to have that conversation. How do I balance the logical and the emotional sides of this situation?
We have to understand that planning for our future is the most important thing. It's not whether or not and we do develop relationships, and that's a great thing that we develop a relationship with, with an accountant or with an attorney or with, any other professional that we might have, that long-term, goals together with.
Right.
But the thing about it is, we have to make sure we're doing what's best for us. And if it's time to transition to someone that really specializes in income and preservation planning for retirees versus the accumulation of wealth that we get from the 20s and 30s and 40s, then you just have to have that conversation. It is a difficult one, but we have to do what's best for us.
Right. He's not paying your retirement
That's
bills.
right.
So you've got to make the move if that's what's necessary for that phase of life.
It really is. And just finding people that are loyal and that want to do the right thing, that's a refreshing thing today. But make sure that you're loyal and you're doing the right thing for yourself.
All right, Greg, thank you as always. Stick around, we have more retirement advice. Greg is teaching us a lesson about packing, but in this case, it's your financial suitcase.